gathered together from the cosmic reaches of the internet. Here in the basement of the Great Hall of Justice are the most powerful forces for good podcasting ever assembled. This is the DC Superpowers Podcast.
This looks like a job for Superman.
To the Batmobile.
My name is John Jones.
I am the Green Arrow.
Hey, Super Friends! Welcome back to the DC Superpowers Podcast, issue number 75 for New Comic Book Day, this October 4th, 2017. I almost said December, which is weird.
I was like, you had it right.
Yeah, it's been a while since I messed up the date.
Hey, well, you had it right. You got it. We're all good.
This is our 75th episode.
It is.
It's the 75th anniversary.
It is. We're getting close to 100 though.
I know.
We'll be here in no time.
We got 25 episodes to figure out what we're gonna do for number 100.
And with 25, you know what that means for DC?
Huh?
They always do something.
Oh yeah, they always have giant. Well, for 25, we're way past 25 though.
But if we're going there, we gotta do something special for 100.
Well, comics in general, for every 25 issues, they do something crazy.
Mm-hmm.
So we don't have anything super crazy. Well, we have something possibly in the works. And keep an eye on Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and everything, and we will let you know if something happens with stuff. But we got stuff in the works. But actually, we're 25 issues away from issue number 100.
Mm-hmm.
So, Super Friends, I'm going to throw this out to you. What should we do for issue number 100?
We got some ideas.
Well, we have some ideas, yeah, but why don't we let the Super Friends give us some ideas too?
We should start a poll up on Twitter and see what happens.
Yeah, we can do that. Well, you can always find us on Instagram and Twitter, or Instagram and Facebook as the DC Superpowers Podcast.
And on Twitter for a poll, at Superpowers DC.
Exactly. And then you can always just email us too. Email us at dcsuperpowerspodcast@gmail.com. And soon, we may be coming to just straight to the World Wide Web.
Yeah, we might.
We're working on some things.
So, you know.
So there's a lot of behind-the-scenes things happening here at Superpowers.
We're moving on up, I like to say.
That's right.
We're doing bigger and better things.
But also, keep an eye on at Superpowers DC on Twitter, especially this weekend. Because this weekend coming up,
New York is going to be going crazy.
The 5th, 6th, 7th, and 8th is New York Comic Con. Now, DC Comics is definitely going to have a huge presence there, and we plan on retweeting and sending out any news we get. We're going to send it back out along the Twitter waves so that you guys can see what's going on at the same time we're seeing it.
We got to inform our listeners. If they don't get it from them, you'll get it from us.
Exactly. Also, the big one that I saw that we're going to talk about a little later is the Doomsday Clock. We know is coming up in November. This is going to be great. Superman versus Dr. Manhattan. It's one of the, remember the old supercars, Muhammad Ali supercars, Muhammad Ali versus George Foreman and all these other ones? Well, Superman versus Dr. Manhattan.
This is going to be awesome. I wonder what kind of covers we're going to get, because, I mean, we got...
Well, some of them are already in here.
But where are they? Are we going to have a shine, or are we going to be lenticular?
I don't know.
What's going on?
Well, Jeff Johns is doing a Doomsday Clock panel.
Yep, live.
The nice thing, yes, they're going to, if you go to the DC Comics Facebook page, 6 p.m., Friday, October 6th, they will be having the Doomsday Clock panel live on Facebook. Yep. So if you're not in New York and you can't make it to the panel there, you can watch it on Facebook. I'll be sitting in there watching it.
Same.
I'm planning on going to watch Blade Runner probably that night, but I may have to figure out a later time to watch it so I can actually watch the Doomsday Clock panel.
Me, I was going to say just pop it up on my laptop, hook it up to the TV, and there we go. Exactly. And just have a big screen. So
actually, your TV may have a Facebook app.
Maybe. I don't have the TV like what you have, kid.
Oh, you don't have the smart TV? You have the PlayStation hooked up. You don't have Facebook on PlayStation?
Probably, but I don't get on Facebook or PlayStation. I have my friends on there that I game with, and that's about it. So
okay, well, so we're gonna have a little bit about Comic-Con because we're gonna be talking about that Doomsday Clock panel a little bit. Because Jeff Johns put out a couple of trailers for the Doomsday Clock.
Yeah, he has. There's the first part video is about 3 minutes on YouTube, guys, and then the part 2 is about 2 minutes. So, about 5 minutes worth of material. Exactly.
So, but next week we're gonna definitely do our Comic-Con roundup.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be pulling stories all weekend. We're going to retweet all the stories, but you're going to hear our take on the stories next week on the show on issue 76.
It feels like it was like a month ago that we just did that for San Diego.
Yeah,
I know it's been longer, but the year.
Well, we had, 2 weeks ago with Salt Lake City Comic-Con.
Yeah, that too.
And that
oh
one,
my
Stephen
goodness.
Amell, we're
Stephen
still
Amell
getting stuff out of Stephen Amell.
It was like every article we found, any news breaking
that guy
it was all Stephen Amell.
Any camera he found, he had something for it.
Hey.
Exactly. And actually, that gets us to our first story, that Stephen Amell, still comes right out of Salt Lake City Comic-Con, and Stephen Amell is still teasing fans.
Yeah.
Now, he's been doing this since they started doing Arrow.
Well, kind of, sort of. He did say at one point in 2015, no, we're not doing the goatee. We're not doing this. Stop asking me. Now it's came back up. He's like, okay, we're going to have it in there.
Exactly. He said, now the exact quote from Stephen Amell is, I promise you, before the series, not season, series ends, we will have at least one shot with the iconic goatee.
So we could literally did this like we did Smallville. We're not going to see him in Superman outfit, but we did for the last scene.
Well,
it's literally on the last scene of.
We're going to talk about Smallville in a couple minutes, but the promise they made, this was actually the original showrunners for Smallville, which they're not the ones that finished the show. Brian Q. Miller was came on after season 5 or season 6.
I did not know that. I was not
Miller and it was Miller and Millar or something like that. I forget who it was.
I know it's Miller. I think because everyone's pronouncing it Millar. It's spelled like Millar, but it's
there was
Miller.
2 guys that were running Smallville at the beginning, which that was so long ago that I'm racking my brain even to remember that they were there.
I don't. You got better than I do.
But if you notice, there was a diametric shift in Smallville in the middle. It totally changed the way they were doing it.
It's kind of like
that's because they had actually brought in a totally new team running it.
Okay.
The original guys made the promise of no flights, no tights, no Superman on the screen.
And we kind of did it at the same time.
Yeah.
We knew what was happening, but we didn't see him actually in his full-fledged suit.
Exactly. In the last episode, all bets were off because this brought you from. Smallville brought you from 10 seasons from him figuring out that he had powers out of nowhere all the way up to becoming Superman
in Metropolis,
and he had 10 years to do it.
Yeah, and Tom Welling, that's a lot of dedication. Thanks, man. A lot of people, I mean, some people just leave the show; they get bored. Then they have to hire a new actor.
Yeah, well, we'll talk about that here in a couple minutes because we have some Tom Welling news.
Oh yeah, finally he's back in the news for
exactly.
DC.
But before that, Stephen Amell said we are going to see the goatee. This is another one, like I said, no flights, no tights. Well, Stephen Amell at one point said we would never.
We're not going to goatee. We're just going to keep that beard on.
Exactly. But it looks like as of now, he will be at some point doing it. Now he was trolling fans some. It says as the date of the 6th season actually got closer, Stephen was actually asked more and more about the goatee. And he was even spotted with longer facial hair before actually just shaving it off when he was getting ready for season 6. So he was trolling some people too. I mean, Stephen Amell has owned this role of Oliver Queen.
Oh yeah, he has.
He has picked up and said, "You know what? I know who this is, and I'm gonna mess with people if I want to mess with people."
And also, it sounds like from what he's doing, he sounds like he's trying to get more of a comic book accurate Green Arrow. I mean, if you look at his costume now to what's going on in the Rebirth, it is literally the same costume.
Yeah.
So he's working for it, and I'm hoping for that green tee sooner than later.
Oh yeah.
I gotta rewatch this, but from what this article's saying, he was in the Legends of Tomorrow episode where he appeared in the future 2046. He was rocking a gray goatee.
Yeah.
So
kind of no. That's actually really a full beard.
Full beard, but you see how it just
Yeah, no.
shaped just a little downward. But that's close we got. So they said until we see the full goatee while he's young, we can keep going back to Legends of Tomorrow to see it when he's the old man Ollie.
Yeah. Well, actually, let's go ahead and bump the Stephen or the. Let's not hide it till the end. We got the Tom Welling news.
All right, let's go Tom.
Let's get the Tom Welling news. Then we'll go back to the Titan story.
All right, that's fine.
But Tom Welling, now the website or the blog site looks like Nuke the Fridge got this story.
I love that name, by the way.
Yeah. Well, Louis Lecca from Nuke the Fridge was actually at, let me find the name of the party, for over 10 years, Smallville, the Fox's Fall TV lineup party in Hollywood. The last week or the week before, and everybody knows at this point Tom Welling's going to be on Lucifer this season.
Yeah,
this is his first major acting role since Smallville.
Yeah,
because after Smallville, all of them were burned out. They were done.
Oh,
you know what? We're done. I don't want to do anything else. Tom Welling has done producing and things since then. He's probably done some little bit roles here.
I think he's done a couple
really
little teeny roles, and it wasn't a lot.
No, but I know actually, Tom Welling was on Rosenberg.
Rosenbaum
has his own podcast now.
Okay.
And Tom Welling was on there for one episode.
And I remember you telling
me.
So
it was actually Welling and Rosenbaum talking and laughing and having a good time about Smallville. Lex Luthor and Clark Kent back together
again. By the way,
again.
guys, I just want to put that out there. Rosenbaum and me share the same birthday.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Well, now you just got to shave your head.
Not yet.
Well, he doesn't have a shiny head
I
anymore.
was just going to say, he did play Wally West. Wally West kept his locks. He just wore a mask. Like, I wear my hat.
But at this party, this Luis Luca actually was talking to Welling, and now Smallville was done in 2011, but people still want to see more, and that's maybe why since the Flash has introduced multiple universes, opening the possibility of bringing any character from other DC shows, even like we've had Mark Hamill, who was the Trickster in the 1990s Flash series, reprised the role of Trickster on a different Earth in Flash.
Yeah, and that's why. And I could have sworn. Remember a couple days ago we were talking. I'm like, Smallville was in his Flash, or not his flashback, with that time portal. And it's like, no, it wasn't, but it should have been. Mm-hmm. Yeah, I really think that was should have been in there.
When it was I believe the first time that Barry was going through the Speed Force, and we saw that we actually saw the image of the Flash on top of the police station from the 90s Flash series.
Yep, and we saw that's from the Legion Ring.
Yeah, the Legion Ring, which we know was teasing into what's coming on Supergirl this season, because we know Saturn Girl is coming to Supergirl at some point.
And I'm a little curious about the actress that's playing her too. I'm like, that doesn't look anything like Saturn Girl, but be said a lot.
We'll find out. I still think that Melissa Benoist isn't blonde enough.
I know, we were talking about that. It's like, I like her. She has the attitude, but she doesn't, to me, really look like Supergirl. Yeah. I mean, some people say Grant Gustin doesn't look like Flash or Barry either. Well, but he has the personality down pat.
Yeah, well, Barry's supposed to be blonde also, I believe.
Yeah, that's my point. Yeah, so.
But back to Tom Welling. Now, Luis talked to Tom Welling at a party for the Fox's fall TV lineup, where he was starring in the next season of Lucifer. Now, Tom actually on the podcast was saying that originally they were looking at maybe 4, maybe 5 episodes of having him in there. He actually Tom Welling talked him into giving a bigger role, and he's got like 15 of the 20 episodes.
I think it's funny that it's still a DC property.
Yes,
DC
it is
property. So,
and he's well aware of that.
Oh yeah, it's his home. I feel like this gives me a good place in my heart. Mm-hmm. Also, I was going to say Tom Welling is a lot of people's standard for a Superman.
Yes. Well, there's an entire generation that he was the only Clark Kent they ever saw on screen, because a lot of people, I think the Brandon Routh Superman Returns actually flew under the radar for a lot of people.
I mean, even if it didn't fly under the radar.
I enjoyed it. I see the problems.
Yeah, I seen the problems.
I see the problems, but it was still Superman. He was still Superman for me.
Well, I say the same thing about Ryan Reynolds playing Green Lantern. I know that everyone was like, I thought he was great as Hal Jordan.
Yes.
So I liked him in that, in the same way I like Brandon Routh as Superman, but there was a lot of flaws. But anyways, I really think no one can be the better Lex Luthor.
Rosenbaum did a great Lex Luthor. Well, recently though, Tom Welling has been asked about going on Supergirl, but he feels that his version of Clark Kent is not going to fit the tone of that show.
Yeah. It would not fit the tone of this show. Also, I was thinking he could just come in there as a different character. He doesn't have to be anything related to Superman. He could be.
All the other cameos they brought in, none of them played their original character.
No, so that's why I'm like, he would fit in perfectly for this.
Well, the big news is coming. It says now he wouldn't fit the tone of the show after the long conversation about the Flash and the multiverses. Tom told Luis that the following: I am willing to go on The Flash, and I have a few ideas of how it could happen if the network asks me. In fact, I think I can make it happen. Now, you might be thinking that there's already a Superman in Supergirl. Yeah. But the thing is, multiverses.
Right.
In the Flash, in the Flash, it can connect to multiple different Flashes and different Supermans. Because you remember, Grant Gustin is Flash for Earth Prime or Earth 1.
Yeah.
I think they're calling it Earth 1.
Okay.
But you look at Jay Garrick is the Flash of Earth 3.
Right.
And Jesse Quick is the Flash of Earth 2.
Technically from the flashback, or whatever you want to call that, in the portal he was going through in the Speed Force, he was also a Flash on another one from the 90s. So he technically was 2 Flashes already.
Yeah, John Wesley Shipp has been 2 different Flashes in there. So but since there's multiple characters that are the Flash, or actors who are the Flash technically, there could be multiple actors who have been Superman.
Technically, Wally is a Flash too.
Which is a great idea. I mean, imagine it was like Earth 75 is the Smallville universe. We could actually you could bring in Tom Welling, you could bring in Justin Hartley as Arrow.
Oh yeah.
You could bring in all of them. They had their version of the Justice League
already. They had the Flash or
Impulse. And we are toying with other versions because remember we talked last week that the crossover for this season is Crisis on Earth X, and it's actually two different Justice Leagues, for lack of a better term, fighting against each other.
By the way, I did find out about that while we were speaking of it. That is Prometheus we saw on that poster, but it's not the same Prometheus from Earth 1.
Oh, okay.
So I don't know who it could be.
Huh.
They didn't say. So we'll find out when that comes out. Hopefully we do.
Yeah, and one of the cool things there is the fact that Tom Welling, actually, since he's a producer and stuff now, he actually has a little bit of pull in Hollywood. He could actually make this happen if he really wants it to happen.
He has.
I don't think he could force it to happen, but he knows talk to the right people.
Right.
And I have a feeling that if he would talk to Berlanti or Kreisberg or any of these guys up on the top of this or the production company, or CW, the CW would love this. Oh, jeez,
he's coming back right into the office.
You imagine where the ratings would go in this?
Oh yeah, it's like Tom Welling's coming back and he wants to do something with this new property of DC or television universe. Heck,
we know that Smallville didn't end because the ratings were low or because the network wanted it to go away.
No,
we see that with Supernatural. Supernatural's going on to season 12 or 13 this season. And then what it is, they should have ended a while ago, but they give them more money and they keep getting the ratings.
We're getting
like, you know what?
We're getting a
no, they're supposed to be teasing. I think a Scooby-Doo crossover has been in the works or something. And then they keep teasing Stephen Amells showing up on the show somewhere, or them showing up on Arrow. So, but
for me,
we don't know what's going on.
I was hoping Constantine could have gotten in there. That would have been a perfect.
Oh yeah, Constantine would work perfect with that.
Someone needs to write a comic book of Constantine with supernatural guys coming in there. I need that in my life.
Part of the problem, though, is I don't think when it comes to some of this, is that Smallville, the comic books are not DC Comics comic books.
Really?
If I remember, I think IDW or someone has them.
Really?
I'd have to look it up.
Okay.
But I know there are some Supernatural comics.
Oh, Supernatural.
Supernatural.
Okay.
No, Supernatural, I believe, is IDW or Dark Horse. One of those has it.
I can believe that.
Or it could be Titan Books, even.
It could be.
I don't know. But, and we have one other TV one that I mentioned Titan Books. Well, this is Titans news. And you had this story.
Get to me real quick.
Okay.
There we are. Okay, guys, and it seems like I've been looking online, and there's been a lot of rumors on there. Last time it was Hawk and Up. I mentioned that they've been cast.
Well, no, not might. We actually got casting for it.
This was the beginning, and then a couple weeks later, they actually were cast. I heard about Robin getting a partner. They're calling him Robin in this article, which
Well, no, we know that Dick Grayson is going to be Robin at the beginning, at least.
Okay. Well, and here Dick Grayson has a partner, same they did in the comic books, and it seems like this is going to be happening on the show as well. So Dick Grayson is now casted by Brandon Thwaites. He's the one portraying the character. And in the comic books of Nightwing Volume 2, Issue 48, Dick Grayson joined Bloodhaven Police Department.
So now, this is the New 52 Nightwing, wasn't it?
No, this is...
I don't remember. Oh, this was before that?
Yeah, this was 2010.
Okay, so this is just before the New 52.
That came out in 2011.
Yeah, New 52 started in 2011.
So before all that went down, he joined the Bloodhaven Police Department, and he had a partner on there. And she was actually just not his partner. She was also... She was a training officer, and let me find her name. Her name was Amy. Oh no, Amy Robax is now the actress that's playing Lindsay.
No, Lindsay Gort is the actress. Amy Roback is
the character.
The character.
Well, Amy was his partner, and she also found out his secret identity on the police force of Nightwing. But even when he left the police department, she still kept his secret a secret. It's unknown exactly right now what the plot line will be for Titans and which part she's going to play and how big of a part she's going to play, but she is cast as the show, and she will be on at least a couple of the first episodes.
Awesome. So this will give some of the... so it looks like, actually, we are getting a Nightwing that's already... Or a Robin at the beginning of this, at least, that's already moved out from behind Bruce's shadow.
Yeah. That's what I think I read that in one of the articles or seen on a YouTube video. He is transitioning right now. In the beginning of the show, he will not be Nightwing.
So all the pictures they've been showing of the new Teen Titans covers and stuff from the early 80s is where we're getting this. Because you remember, the very beginning of New Teen Titans, for the first couple of issues, he was Robin.
Right.
But very rapidly, he was already away from Batman, and he decided, very rapidly, he became Nightwing.
Right.
Within like 10 or 15 issues or less.
Yeah, and I've noticed even from the 90s animated series, Robin was a little older than what he was described in the comic books.
Well,
it was already in college.
Yeah. Well, the animated series, the first Robin we get in the animated series. There's 2 Robins in the animated series.
Right, but the first one,
was Dick Grayson, in college, right? And, that's why he was only in certain episodes.
Right, and that's why in this new show I can see him being an older character. And now he's like, hey, I'm not Robin, but I was Robin, but I'm older. And I'm getting too old.
Now he's trying to figure out. He's trying to figure out without being Robin, what is he?
Exactly. So this fits in perfectly with how we see Robin today, or Nightwing today.
So this show is rapidly coming together. We still don't even know any of the details about the DC streaming service.
No, we don't. As far as we know, there's only 2 different shows that's going to be on there, which is Young Justice.
Well, we're guaranteed 2 shows.
Right. Young Justice and Titans.
Well, if they're going to do theirs, anything like what Disney has said with theirs, because Disney has said that Bob Iger was talking about how they have over 7,000 hours of television available. Over 5,000 movies that they're going to have on the Disney streaming service, including Marvel and Lucasfilm.
Yeah.
So all of that
and all their
the
Marvel stuff
service.
on Netflix is going to be on there.
If Warner Brothers does this with DC, we have hundreds of hours of television. Because Smallville, you have hundreds of hours of television.
Yeah, and if you look here, we have Birds of Prey, we have the Super Friends, we have their animated movies.
We have television. You could go back television all the way back into the 50s, and movies back into the 40s. With the remember the old serials?
I wish they would go back that far. What year did the Superman cartoons?
Well, the serials and the Max Fleischer cartoons were all from the 40s.
That was the 40s. Okay. Oh, I want that back.
So
they had that on Netflix for a while, and they took it off like right when I was getting my subscription. I think I only watched it like.
What, the Max Fleischer commercial or cartoons?
Yeah.
I think I have an extra copy of those, man. There's only like 6 of them.
That was it.
There's only 6 or 9 of them total.
I want to say 9
because I have the Batman Ultimate or the Superman Ultimate Edition DVD set.
Do you
remember that? It came with the 5 movies, and then it was like 9 discs worth of content.
Okay.
There's all kinds of stuff.
I have the Batman one of the movies from the 89 to the 90s, but that's all I got.
So, but that's what's coming with Titans, and actually, wait a minute, because we're talking about movies. There's a story I didn't put in here, but because we've skipped it the last 2 weeks. But talking about the movies, I have that Superman Ultimate Edition.
Yeah,
I'm gonna have to go out and buy another Superman Blu-ray though of the original Superman.
Why you have to buy another?
Back in the movie was made 1977, correct? It was somewhere 77 or 78. Okay. I'm foggy because I was born right before that.
I was going to say that was way before me.
Well, the first time it was played on TV was on ABC. And it was actually a 2-night event.
Of course, that had to be ABC.
Because they had actually, the TV version of it was an expanded 3-hour run of the movie.
They even did that back then?
So it was an expanded 3-hour run of the movie that they did over 2 nights. And they made it an event. Well, Warner Brothers has cleaned it up and is releasing on Blu-ray the 3-hour version of Superman. And
cool.
I guess there's some scenes in there that have not been seen since it was on ABC. I mean, even with the Ultimate Edition, with all the special features and all the bonus stuff they've put on there, they still haven't released everything. Well, this is supposed to, and then also it's got a shorter run special edition on it. So it's a 2-disc set or 2-movie set
I might have to
coming to Blu-ray, and it's supposed to be out before the end of the year.
You know what? I know what I'm doing. My mom loves, she's about a big Superman fan as you are, so I can just get that for her for Christmas and watch it with her.
You can get it for me for Christmas.
I could do that. I can get both you guys one for Christmas.
Well, hang on. Let me look this up. Amazon might have it now. And as I'm doing this on the fly, and I'm not worried about pre-ordering. I just want to see if I can get the release date for it.
Hopefully they give it out. Amazon's pretty good about that.
Oh, yeah. Well, Amazon will let you know what the release dates on stuff, even if they're not supposed to.
Didn't they do that for Star Wars or something? They spoiled something for us?
Oh, they're doing that all the time.
Like, wait a minute, this is Amazon for you, but thank you, we appreciate all that.
Here we go. Actually, it's coming up quick.
Oh, is it next
It's coming up. It actually just released. It released today. It is yes. Actually, we're recording on the 2nd. It releases tomorrow on the 3rd. It's Superman the Movie Extended Cut and 2-film collection. It's Superman the Movie the Extended Cut and Superman the Movie Special Edition. They have it $21.99 on Prime, and it releases on October 3rd.
Well, there you go.
So
less than 24 hours away.
That's right. And so anybody who's a fan of the original Christopher Reeve Superman, this is a must-have.
Oh, yeah. I mean, from everything you just told me about the content, I'm a sucker for anything that's like, here's extended stuff. I want to see it. Give me more material. That's why I'm a fan of it. So I'm going to have to get that for one if you guys are both of you.
Well, transitioning more into movies, we actually, Warner Brothers is now all the controversy about anybody who's been watching the Warner Brothers and DC movie sites and things has seen there's been a lot of controversy about what is the extended universe. Well, this movie's not part of the extended universe. This is part of the universe. No, wait, they're all part of the universe. They're all not part of the universe.
He's not in here. She's not in here.
Exactly.
She's not directing this. He's not going to be the one. It's just been a
Warner Brothers has
mess.
no idea what they're doing.
Yeah. Well, and also I'm not
the studio side.
Right, studio side they don't know, and also it's all these articles and I want to say a little bit of vultures in there trying to make these news sources confusing people even further because they don't really know.
Hey, they're just trying to get hits. So they put a lot of their websites are putting out
the same
as soon as they
thing,
hear a headline, they put it out there without checking everything out. Well, this one is Warner Brothers. According to Warner Brothers, the term DC Extended Universe is not an official Warner Brothers title for these movies. That's not what they call these movies.
No, at the office, at the studio, they do not go by the name of Extended DCEU. That's something. Where's the name? You're gonna have me help with his name because I'm a butcher. Skaktuis.
Where you at?
Right here.
Okay.
Skaktuis. I'm trying to get that last name right. Keith.
Staskiewicz? I don't know.
I'm gonna call you Keith. But Keith sat down and he was in an interview, and this is what he said. It was my own phrase.
Hang on, let me see here. The term DC users discuss. The first time the term actually showed up was in Entertainment Weekly on July of 2015 in an article. It was quickly adopted by pretty much everybody.
Yeah.
Except that no one officially involved with the movies themselves ever used that term.
No.
And as it turns out, the term was never something that Warner Brothers ever gave to Entertainment Weekly to use.
We still don't know really what they called it.
Exactly. Well, for those interested, here's how it came about, according to this. Abraham Reisman wrote an article on DC movies over at Vulture, which included an interview with DC Films president Jeff Johns, as well as DC Entertainment president Diane Nelson, which we'll get to them here in a couple minutes too, because they're talking about stuff too. We got a lot of DC people trying to fix what's going on out there.
And I respect DC for doing this. It seems like anytime there's a problem, like, we got to get on the social media or get on some site or get an article going so people can understand what we have our intentions of.
Yeah. Well, while writing his story, Reisman said that Warner Brothers told him no one at the company ever uses the term DC Extended Universe and that it's not official. Now, intrigued, Reisman looked closer at the origins of the DC Extended Universe term and discovered that in the 2015 Entertainment Weekly article written by Keith Staskiewicz, that's who it was written by.
Yeah.
Now, Reisman managed to track him down, and I guess this guy has no Twitter, Facebook, or website, so it's not easy to do. And then you had the quote and stuff here.
Yeah, he said, it was my own phrasing when I use a story. Just seemed like a kind of thing they call it. I just looked back on the piece, and now I noticed, and he says this is happening in my mind, a little trademark symbol I gave it, and it was like, whoops. So, and I see why he called it that, because if you look at the counterparts we have, they are called the Marvel, the MCU.
The Marvel Cinematic Universe, Star Wars for years.
What does Star Wars call themselves?
In Star Wars, when there was multiple levels of canon.
Yeah.
There was the movies, which a lot of people called the G-level canon. It was George Lucas says the only things that really affect story that you have to follow is the movies and what he's put on TV. So it was for him, it was the 6 movies in the Clone Wars TV series. That's it.
Oh, really?
That was canon. But you also, when you had the books, they were called, a lot of times the books were referred to as the Star Wars Expanded Universe.
Okay, now that's
so
what I was used to that.
Had to keep in line with what was in the books.
Right.
But the movies and TV could change whatever they wanted.
And the video
games were a totally separate level of canon.
Okay.
They didn't have to actually follow anything, really.
Because that's what I was used to, was the books as a kid and the video games.
Yeah. Well, that's why Disney changed when they came in and said, you know what? We're taking everything that came before and setting it aside and calling that Legends and restarting canon from scratch so that they weren't stuck trying to figure out what happened here.
And to a certain extent, kind of sounds like what DC is doing. Now, this was just how all this name came about with all of this confusion. But DC doesn't have this. And in another article we're going to break down a little bit more of what is actually going on at DC. Yeah. There's been a lot of stuff going around now where people are saying, DC films are not going to do their shared universe.
Oh, it does say here that Warner Brothers does have its official brand that they call DC Films. It even has its own or Facebook page, but still the term extended universe is pretty catchy, so they don't know if it'll be dropping off anytime soon, official or otherwise. So, but as of right now, the movies are just called DC Films.
And let it go.
And we'll find out here in just a minute from Jeff Johns and Diane Nelson, that what exactly is DC Films?
Yeah. I was second sum that one up.
Yep. Well, because the next story actually. Oh no, the next story doesn't get into that yet.
Oh,
the next story is the next story I have on here is actually Jeff Johns talking about what he wanted to see from Man of Steel.
Same thing all the real Superman fans wanted.
Remember, Jeff Johns was officially hired by DC Films after Man of Steel and Batman v Superman were pretty much both wrapped up.
Yeah.
Suicide Squad was about 3/4 of the way done already when he stepped in.
And
Wonder Woman hadn't even really started yet. No. So that's why Wonder Woman, you notice, has a totally different tone.
Totally.
And it has a totally different feel to it than the other movies. Well, Jeff Johns actually would, if he was in charge during Man of Steel,
in 2013,
he would have had a much lighter tone, or he would have wanted a much lighter tone.
So for
now what?
Honestly, I know me and you have gone back and forth. I really enjoyed everything up to the end of Man of Steel with the net break. Yeah. I thought Man of Steel was great because it was like, here's a premature Superman, really. This is him coming into Superman without going through Superboy.
Yeah.
We didn't see his background in high school still like we did in Smallville. So I thought it was pretty good. I know he's going to destroy some cities and stuff because he's Superman. He doesn't know. But that end, I'm like,
even in the comic books, he's still smashing cities.
Yeah, I feel like he's a little bit more careful. In this one, he's a little bit more careless.
Yeah.
And then at the end of it, you knew where his heart was going, but the snapping the neck of Zod, I'm like, that could have been avoided.
Yeah. Well, according to the article from comicbook.com, it was many Superman fans were disappointed with the dark and dreary tone of Zack Snyder's Man of Steel in 2013, which we talked about it on the show at length. That that's not the Superman I wanted to see.
Right. It wasn't the Superman I was used to.
Yeah. Well, it says mainly since the comics had always been more of the light-hearted side. Batman is dark, Superman is light. That's the way it works.
That's it.
They're almost the yin and yang of the DC universe.
Right.